figure, although tall man, standing there, and they said,
she gets scared. She gave me this great quote. She says, "Well, when you're here by yourself," she said, "it's like when you're house sitting for someone. It feels comfy, but it's still their house. You feel their energy." I think that applies to a lot of haunted places. So look, my footage from there is still being analyzed, but here are my feelings. I didn't feel anything particularly negative or scary about the place. Um, some haunted places feel very, very heavy, and it didn't feel that heavy to me for some reason. So, America's Most Haunted House, I guess maybe I need to spend a night there to figure that one out. So, I had a great time though at Old Town. Before we left, we went to this place called the Mexican Market, and I bought some Mexican jumping beans. I hadn't had those since I was a kid. Those are so fascinating. You can only get them certain times a year. They come from this one little area of Mexico, and they're actually seed pods. And if you've never seen one of these before, it's like a little plastic case with a clear top, and there's maybe 5 or 6 of these things that look like little brown beads, but they just randomly sort of jump around and make little click clack sounds. And it turns out that there are little worms in there. They're larvae of a small moth, and they are in there, I think, up to like 10 months, just chewing away and eating and living inside of this thing and developing. But they are very sensitive to temperature. So if they're in a place where it's kind of cool and they like the temperature and it's kind of dark, they don't move around. But if you put them in the sun, maybe not direct sun, you don't want to kill them, or just like hold them in your hand and warm them up, they'll start bouncing around and jumping. And you know what? I don't know what happens. I guess when I was a kid, they would stop jumping and I would say, like, I guess they're dead and throw them away. But I am going to keep my jumping beans in a special container and see if I can hatch the moths out of them. And if so, that'll be an interesting image for my Instagram. So look, next we drive across this bridge and we go to Coronado Island, where there is a military base, a lot of military activity around us throughout this whole trip. And that is where you find the Hotel del Coronado. Now, the Hotel del Coronado is it's a historic building that it opened in 1888 as the largest resort hotel in the world. It's still the second largest wooden structure in the United States, if not the world. I can't remember for sure. I've got too many things I've been researching, but it's big. It's a big, sprawling, impressive Victorian property with a big cone-shaped main entrance. It's mainly white with kind of like burgundy tiling on top, and I mean it's very impressive, and it's right on the water. And it's like that's the place where all the celebrities would go. I think Marilyn Monroe filmed a movie there. But I especially wanted to go there because I'd heard for many, many years about its famous ghost, and that is the ghost of Kate Morgan. And this is an absolutely true story. Kate Morgan was born in 1864, and her life is kind of mysterious. She had, I think, various man troubles. She was like bouncing around from place to place, chasing love. And in November of 1892, she showed up by herself to the Hotel del Coronado, and she was dressed in black. Okay, black hat, black dress, and the people there, the staff, said that she seemed very ladylike, beautiful, reserved, and well-dressed, but troubled and very melancholy. That's a quote. She kept to herself. A lot of people just referred to her as the beautiful stranger. And after she had stayed there for about 5 days, she walked outside on some steps heading to the beach. She took out a gun and she shot herself in the head, apparently, and killed herself. And the funny thing is that some people said that they thought there was foul play. Most people said that they thought it was suicide. Nobody knows for sure. But she was staying in room 302 at that time. And actually, I in the gift shop, they sell all kinds of Kate Morgan stuff. And I even bought a little keychain that says room 302 on it. But they've changed that now to room 3327. All these years since the incident, people have seen this woman in black with a big black hat and black dress floating around the hotel. Of course, in Asheville, North Carolina, at the Grove Park Inn, they have the pink lady. Well, here they have the beautiful stranger in black. And she does everything that melancholy ghosts usually do. Sometimes she shows up in your room at night. She might tickle your feet. Sometimes she will just glide down the hallway. Sometimes you just see her sitting by herself around her room, and then she vanishes. There was one historian who said that there were a couple of people who checked into one of the rooms that are known to be haunted, and then they just vanished. They were never seen again. Somebody got footage of a window opening by itself. I mean, all this kind of stuff happens there at the Hotel Del Coronado. There are a lot of ghosts, but the ghost of Kate Morgan is the most famous one. When you go in the gift shop, they have a life-size like mannequin of her there with books and refrigerator magnets and things like that. And when we were there, I talked to this one bartender, and he'd been working there for, I think, 20 years. And I asked him if he'd ever seen anything. And he goes, well, of course, he's working at this big historic bar. He said, I was here with another bartender one night a few years ago. And he says, we heard this pop, like the pop of a cork from a champagne bottle right behind us. He says it scared us because we weren't expecting it. And we both turned, and right as we turned, we saw a dark object fall from the ceiling that looked like a cork, but then it was gone. And so that he said there was no way that either of them could explain that. And I decided to go ghost hunting there. I brought some of my meters, and I filmed myself ghost hunting. Now, I wasn't able to go to room 3327 because it turns out the place is being remodeled, extensively remodeled. And I was able to go walk down the steps toward the beach where she killed herself and all that. And I got a lot of bizarre electromagnetic and electrostatic fields that would just suddenly pop out of nowhere. But just like with the Whaley House, I have footage that needs to be analyzed and examined. So I didn't see a ghost at either one of these places, but I definitely feel like the Hotel Del Coronado is haunted. It's got that heaviness that I didn't actually feel at the Whaley House. So if you're ever in San Diego, look up the Hotel Del Coronado. It's probably not cheap to stay there, but it's worth visiting and having a drink at the bar and walking down to the beach. So, of course, in San Diego, we had to go to the famous San Diego Zoo. It is the most visited zoo in all of America. I think something like 12 million people visit it every year. You've probably seen it all over TV. Got up one morning, went there, and the weather was actually kind of cloudy and cool, and so all the animals were out. We took a free bus tour for about 30 minutes. That was the first thing we did. And then later on, they have this little ride you can take called like a sky safari. It's like a gondola that takes you up. I thought that was kind of scary, personally. If you don't like heights that much. But here's the thing: when we went to the zoo, the animals were more active than usual, and we saw, huge gorillas. I've never seen gorillas so active and running around right up to the glass. Orangutans rolling around and playing. And there was a Komodo dragon, lots of monkeys. They had a bear there. They said called a sloth bear, and it turns out that's what Baloo was in the Jungle Book. And all the guides were talking about how that they only use positive reinforcement with the animals, and they raise a lot of money to save animals and help animals. But look, Lauren and I had a good time. The zoo was not as elaborate as I was expecting. Some of the enclosures were smaller than I was expecting. But personally, I kind of have a problem with zoos because I don't feel like that animals are usually happy in a zoo, especially something like a polar bear or a gorilla. That just certainly don't belong in that type of setting. I think that maybe there was a time when people didn't get to see animals back in the day where, having an animal you could go see in person might have been a necessary part of life. But now I kind of think only scientists, vets and biologists and things should maybe have access to zoos. It just kind of makes me sad to go to zoos. So, I've seen a lot of zoos, and I think that that's probably going to be my last one. My gosh, the clock has almost got us. When we come back, I haven't even gotten to the UFO stuff yet. I'm Joshua P. Warren. You're listening to Strange Things on the iHeartRadio and Coast to Coast AM Paranormal Podcast Network. And I will be right back.
Hang on, Josh will be right back.
Food brings people together, but for many families, figuring out where their next meal is coming from is a challenge. You can help by participating in Macy's annual Harvest of Hope drive to benefit Utah Food Bank's mobile school childhood hunger programs. Participating is easy. Now through the month of November, simply purchase an icon or a prepackaged bag of food at any Macy's store or online. You can donate any amount and all proceeds will go to Utah Food Bank. Together, we can make a difference in our communities.
The leaves are falling, there's a chill in the air, and it's the perfect time to curl up inside with a new book. LitJoy is more than a fully customizable quarterly book box subscription. It's your destination for special edition books and book lovers' treasures. From beautifully illustrated and signed book copies to themed bookends and drinkware, LitJoy has everything you need to tackle your to-read pile this fall. Visit litjoycrate.com today. LitJoy, where the love of books comes to life.
We are happy to announce that our Coast to Coast AM official YouTube channel has now reached over 300,000 subscribers. You can listen to the first hour of recent and past shows for free. So head on over to the coasttocoastam.com website and hit the YouTube icon at the top of the page. This is free show audio, so don't wait. coasttocoastam.com is where you want to be.
Food brings people together, but for many families, figuring out where their next meal is coming from is a challenge. You can help by participating in Macy's annual Harvest of Hope drive to benefit Utah Food Bank's mobile school childhood hunger programs. Participating is easy. Now through the month of November, simply purchase an icon or a prepackaged bag of food at any Macy's store or online. You can donate any amount and all proceeds will go to Utah Food Bank. Together, we can make a difference in our communities.
Hi, this is ufologist Kevin Randall, and you're listening to the iHeartRadio and Coast to Coast AM Paranormal Podcast Network.
Welcome back to the final segment of this edition of Strange Things on the iHeartRadio and Coast to Coast AM Paranormal Podcast Network. I am your host, Joshua P. Warren. So we went to Balboa Park. I mentioned this place earlier. There was some kind of an expo there, similar to a World's Fair in 1915, and so they built like all these glorious buildings, facades. Like one of them was used in, I think, Citizen Kane. This is, it's a 1,200-acre park, and they have all these museums there. Like, where there's one that has mummies. They have the Comic-Con Museum. even though it was closed that day. All kinds of restaurants, shops. But yeah, it's named after Vasco Nunez de Balboa, who was born in 1475. He was a conquistador who supposedly was the first person to see the Pacific Ocean from Europe and came back and is kind of credited as like a kind of discoverer of the New World. And turns out, though, he had a pretty dramatic life. Otherwise, when he was only about 43 or 44, he was executed because there was some suspicion that he was like trying to take over certain land that he wasn't supposed to have, and he was being subversive. And I was reading here, it says the executioner beheaded Balboa and his 4 friends with an axe. Balboa's head did not come off clean on the first try. It took 3. Their heads remained in public display for several days as a sign of his enemy's might. This was another conquistador or a similar Spanish figure that did that. And they don't know where his final remains are. But anyway, so he met a pretty bad end. But regardless, we had a great time exploring that area. Went to this place called the Brigantine, and we had some raw oysters, which is something I don't do all that often. There was this huge ship docked next to it on the water there called the Star of India. Looks like a pirate ship, and it's the world's oldest active sailing ship. Began her life in the Ramsey shipyard in the Isle of Man in 1863. Everywhere you look, there's just some kind of crazy history. The gas lamp quarters where we went for dinner that night, lively downtown neighborhood known for its nightlife, clubs, bars, lounges. In fact, the oldest bar in San Diego is there called the Tivoli Bar and Grill. Maybe it's Tivoli, I'm not sure which, but opened in 1885. So we went there. Of course, we had a shot. Then next door, we had one of the best seafood meals we've ever had at the Water Grill. And then after that, we got into one of these things called a pedicab, which is like a cycle rickshaw, where Lauren and I are sitting in the back of this thing at like 10 o'clock at night. And this guy who is driving it, he's pedaling it. He says, "You want to have a good time?" And this guy was a maniac. And we're screaming, and he's driving in circles, and it was just, he drove us all the way back to our hotel. There was just always some kind of craziness. Well, look, on our last day, I found a couple of different antique shops, and I found one amazing antique shop that had some big items that we want to use to decorate our house. And I don't want to tell you about those things yet because they are being specially delivered to me tomorrow, supposedly. So if all goes well with that delivery, I'll tell you about those things that I bought in the next episode of this podcast because I just don't have time to squeeze it all in. So let me give you some conclusions here leading to the UFO situation. First off, let me say, look, I understand because of politics, California gets a bad rap. And, you know, the roads were pretty bad there, lots of potholes. And even though San Diego is the most expensive town in the country, we were at a stoplight and I looked over and I saw a guy. He was outside of a gas station. I saw him digging through a garbage can and I just saw him pull out something and eat it. And that's pretty sad when you see things like that. But, you know, everyone was incredibly nice and helpful to me and Lauren, and I mean everyone. And Lauren and I, you know, we've always talked about, like, for some reason, people just always like to come up to us out of the blue and just talk to us. We're not sure. I guess we just look like friendly, talkative people, and ultimately we are. You know, I am a good talker. I'm a good tipper, and it's very easy for me to get information out of people, and yet, throughout this entire experience, in all these bars and restaurants and shops, every opportunity I got, and even after I'd been purchasing things and I was a valuable customer, I would say, so I'm interested in some of these like UFO reports I've seen on the History Channel and stuff like that. You ever hear anything about that? Not one person would talk. I've never seen anything quite like it in my entire life, other than some similar areas like Laguna Beach. I've encountered that. They would act like in many cases they wanted to say something and then just clam right up and be like, no, I don't know anything. It was so weird and unnatural and so suspicious. I did meet a man who said he had a property I might be able to come and visit, and all he would say is I should bring a lot of equipment, that he needed to clear some things first. And guess what? I have not been able to get in touch with him again. So I don't know if that's going to work out or not. But it is on my list to go back there with equipment that I did not bring on this exploratory visit to do some groundbreaking recordings of the sky, I hope. But I swear to you, call me paranoid, call me conspiratorial, but I have been doing this kind of thing most of my life since I was practically, 15 years old is when I really started going out and trying to get people to talk to me about paranormal stuff. I am an expert. I've interviewed every type of person from every walk of life, right down to, the common blue collar person all the way up to Nobel Prize winning scientist. And I have never encountered a whole area like that where people they acted like they wanted to say something that would just clam up. I swear to you, I believe that the people in this area around San Diego and Catalina Island and Dana Point, some memo has gone out there that you do not talk about this. And I don't know how official it is, but I think the word is out there. And you know what? One thing that surprised me, having never been to San Diego seems, it feels when you're there like a much smaller place than I imagined. It doesn't feel like some huge town. The airport was incredibly small. So I can see why that you hear about a place like that and you feel like it would be difficult to control the people. But I do believe, and maybe some of you will email me and tell me your thoughts on this, I do think that it is certainly possible that the people of this area have been told, either officially or unofficially, somehow the word has been put out there, you do not talk about the UFO, UAP stuff. And it may just be because you have all this military activity around there and people are afraid. They've been warned not to spill any beans, or they think that maybe I'm with the military and I'm testing them and trying to see if they're going to talk. I'm not sure what it is, but there's something very fishy about it. So I look forward to going back to the area, and I mean the entire area, to do my next stage of UFO research. And of course, I will be keeping you updated on that. But I really do think that, it is not overrated to say that it is one of the most paranormally active places around. The selection of UFOs and ghosts is just incredible. And the antiquing there is some of the best ever. Wait till you hear what I tell you that we are having delivered. I don't want to wait. I don't want to tell you until it gets here. But listen to this. Let me just leave you with this. I guarantee you did not believe you were going to hear me say this. I went into one establishment, and it is possible that I found the scalp of a Yeti, of an abominable snowman. And guess what? I bought it. Now, I know you're saying, Josh, that cannot be. There's no way you went to San Diego, California, and found a Yeti scalp. Well, look, I'm not saying it is or it isn't. I'm just telling you, this is the wealthiest city, the most expensive city, one of the most wealthy cities in the United States. It would kind of make sense that somebody there may have the money and the clout to obtain a Yeti scalp that I was able to add to my collection. All right, that's it for this particular version of the show. And now, let us all relax, take a deep breath, get to a positive mindset as we listen together to the Good Fortune Tone. That's it for this edition of the show. Follow me on Twitter at Joshua P. Warren. Plus, visit joshuapwarren.com to sign up for my free e-newsletter to receive a free instant gift, and check out the cool stuff in the Curiosity Shop, all at joshuapwarren.com. I have a fun one lined up for you next time, I promise. So please tell all your friends to subscribe to this show and to always remember the golden rule. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your interest and support. Thank you for staying curious. And I will talk to you again soon. You've been listening to Strange Things on the iHeartRadio and Coast to Coast AM Paranormal Podcast Network.
Thanks for listening to the iHeartRadio and Coast to Coast AM Paranormal Podcast Network. Make sure and check out all our shows on the iHeartRadio app or by going to iHeartRadio.com.
Food brings people together, but for many families, figuring out where their next meal is coming from is a challenge. You can help by participating in Macy's annual Harvest of Hope Drive to benefit Utah Food Bank's mobile school childhood hunger programs. Participating is easy. Now through the month of November, simply purchase an icon or a prepackaged bag of food at any Macy's store or online. You can donate any amount and all proceeds will go to Utah Food Bank. Together, we can make a difference in our communities.
The leaves are falling, and it's the perfect time to curl up with a new book. LitJoy is more than a quarterly book box subscription. It's your destination for special edition books and treasures. Check out books from every genre, from classics to fantasy, like Frankenstein, Alice in Wonderland, The Au Pair Affair, Shadow and Bone, and The Vampire Academy. LitJoy has everything you need to tackle your to-read pile this fall. Visit litjoycrate.com today, where the love of books comes to life.
This message comes from Greenlight. Ready to start talking to your kids about financial literacy? Meet Greenlight, the debit card and money app that teaches kids and teens how to earn, save, spend wisely, and invest with your guardrails in place. With Greenlight, you can send money to kids instantly, set up chores, automate allowance, and keep an eye on your kids' spending with real-time notifications. Join millions of parents and kids building healthy financial habits together on Greenlight. Sign up for Greenlight today at greenlight.com/iHeart.
Hello, it is Ryan, and I was on a flight the other day playing one of my favorite social spin slot games on ChumbaCasino.com. I looked over at the person sitting next to me, and you know what they were doing? They were also playing Chumba Casino. Everybody's loving having fun with it. Chumba Casino is home to hundreds of casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com and grab your free welcome bonus. Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
The holidays are here at the Home Depot, so let's get to decorating. Find your perfect tree in our huge assortment of shapes, sizes, and styles, like the easy-to-assemble Jackson Noble Fir with pre-lit branches perfect for styling with all your favorite ornaments. Or the flocked Starry Light Fraser Fir with over 1,900 pre-lit memory wire branches that keep their shape so it's ready right out of the box. Find the perfect tree now at the Home Depot and enjoy free delivery on most holiday decor. Subject to availability. See homedepot.com/delivery for details.
This episode is brought to you by Navy Federal Credit Union. Think you have to be in the military to qualify for Navy Federal membership? Think again. Membership eligibility includes immediate family of Navy Federal members, which means if you're the child, the sibling, or even a household member of a veteran or service member, you're eligible for Navy Federal membership. Join Navy Federal today at joinNavyFederal.com for exclusive member benefits. Navy Federal Credit Union. Their members are the mission. Insured by NCUA.
What is this place? Welcome to Cloud9. How exactly did I get here? You're a Toyota Crown driver, and only Crown drivers ever reach this level of pure bliss.
The captivating Toyota Crown family. Toyota, let's go places.
Hey, what's up, guys? I'm Nick Chubb, running back for the Cleveland Browns. The holidays get really busy for me, but I still want to pull up to events looking nice. Abercrombie's latest drop of party looks is taking me through the season. For dinner with the fam, drinks with the guys, and even New Year's Eve, they have outfits for every occasion. I'm mainly a jeans and t-shirt guy, but Abercrombie has the dressier fits that keep me comfortable. Shop Abercrombie for every night out.
And you're here. Thanks for choosing the iHeartRadio and Coast to Coast AM Paranormal Podcast Network. Your quest for podcasts of the paranormal, supernatural, and the unexplained ends here. We invite you to enjoy all our shows we have on this network. And right now, let's start with Strange Things with Joshua P. Warren.
Welcome to our podcast. Please be aware the thoughts and opinions expressed by the host are their thoughts and opinions only and do not reflect those of iHeartMedia, iHeartRadio, Coast to Coast AM, employees of Premier Networks, or their sponsors and associates. We would like to encourage you to do your own research and discover the subject matter for yourself.
Man, that seemed like forever.
Just this fantastic actually, we had a wonderful seafood dinner, but at this time we were waiting on the dinner to arrive. We were in this big, like 2-story fancy restaurant, and it was all warmly lit, and the atmosphere was great, and we were sitting at the bar. I often like to go eat at the bar if it's a nice bar in a restaurant. For one thing, you can usually just walk right up and get seated immediately. And then you get better service because you're face to face with the bartender. And so this was one of those occasions that we decided to sit there, have a glass of wine, order our food, and it was just sort of like a very relaxing atmosphere. But as we were sitting there chatting and enjoying ourselves, across from us on the other side of the bar, there was a woman. Obviously, she was kind of loud and obnoxious. But to be honest with you, I didn't even really notice her because I am quite good at tuning out unpleasant things. That's a good skill to have. So I just wasn't even paying any attention to this woman. On the other hand, at one point, Lauren looks at me and she has this glare in her eye. She's gritting her teeth and it's just, gosh, please, Jedi mind trick. Shut up. The chat fell here. Because Lauren is very sensitive to sounds, especially that kind of sound. She doesn't like people having unpleasant ways speaking in general, but especially, a drunk person like that under those circumstances. So I go, all right, fine. I thought it was off the clock. I was going to just be able to relax and have a nice peaceful evening. But now I have to pull on my Jedi caps. But of course, I also had to take that as a challenge. Can you do this with the fine. So I started using one of the Jedi mind tricks. Now I'm going to teach you a number of tricks. At least that's my plan in this show. But here's what happened. Within, just 2 or 3 minutes, that woman had piped down completely. And she did not have to listen at all. Her voice was lowered.
did I do that? So that we can enjoy this beautiful, peaceful dinner, you know. How did I do that? I'm going to show you what I did. And you know what's funny is that I don't believe I have ever taught these Jedi mind tricks before. And that's saying a lot, because I've done a lot of talking in my life, whether it's been at speaking engagements or on the radio or here at this podcast or on TV. I've done a lot of talking, but I don't think I've ever taught this. I'm just giving you this information for free, and I hope that you will use it wisely and use it also benevolently, because that was a situation in which all we wanted was, we knew we were right and she was wrong. She was disturbing the peace of the atmosphere, and we knew that, you know, she needed to zip it. How did I do that? Well, you know, I became interested in these kinds of things that we often call the Jedi mind tricks long time ago. Obviously, you know, I've always been a big fan of Star Wars, and the author of this book called Use the Force, A Jedi's Guide to Law of Attraction. You can read it for free instantly right now. All you have to do is go to my website and you'll see the book cover there. You click on it and you can download it in English or Spanish. But I saw this TV show on ABC back in the day that I just really loved. This was, well, apparently, according to IMDb, this came out in 1993. And the show was called World of Discovery. And this particular episode was called Powers of the Russian Psychics. And if you've not seen this, boy, you should watch it. You know how these things, these old shows, sometimes they get randomly kind of uploaded to YouTube and they come and go. So, as of this moment, somebody has uploaded it to YouTube. If you just go to YouTube and just type in Russian Psychics documentary, it's up there. And maybe it won't be by the time you hear this, but the channel is called DocSpot, DocSpot. But there's this story, and there's a lot of good content in that show, but it's narrated by John Rhys Davies, who you may know from at least the Indiana Jones movies and Indiana Jones. Yeah, in the 1970s, chess was really big news. There was a lot of competition, especially when it came to Russia and America and all this symbolism. There was a Cold War that was represented by chess games. I mean, how often do you hear about chess games? Almost never. That was a big news back then. And there was this Russian fellow who had been a champ for a long time. And his name was Viktor Korchnoi. And so he was a Russian hero because he was the grandmaster guy, best I would call it, for a long time. And then he shocked everybody in Russia when he defected to the West. The unforgiveness in 1976. And so after that, well, all the Russians got behind this new young whippersnapper, this chess player named Anatoly Karpov. And eventually, these two had to come face to face. And my understanding is that the Russians invited the old guy, Korchnoi, to come back to Russia to play chess with the young guy, Karpov. And Korchnoi said, not falling for that one, Coyote. So what happened was they decided that the old guy, and you know, I'm just going to say the old guy and the young guy because these are Russian names. And one is Korchnoi and one is Karpov. So I'm just going to talk about the old guy and the young guy, okay? So the old guy is supposed to have a match with the young guy. And they decided that they're going to do this in the Philippines in 1978 in this town called Baguio. B-A-G-U-I. practice that I haven't revealed ever in my life about how you just take a bit of somebody that you know is already and you can do it before. You have to practice it. You want to harm against somebody. You just want them to change their behavior or believe it. You know what? You can not only do that, but you can also do something that's a bit more controversial. You can take good luck from good. Those are that, because it's going to take more out of you to do the get out of here thing. So you're better off if you can just modify the person's behavior. All right, so once you figure out who your target is, it's very important that you do not make eye contact with that person. The reason is that if you make eye contact with a person, then immediately a person puts up, automatically some kind of a defense. That is an involuntary thing. You have no control over it. If you lock eyes with somebody, you immediately enter this social mode where you put up some kind of a defense. It's that whole thing about energy flows where attention goes, and we don't want that. We do not want them to know that we are putting energy on them or manipulating energy. So do not make eye contact. There are many, many other situations in life where eye contact is helpful. For example, if you feel like a criminal is maybe smoking you out and considering you as a target or a mark, then you should make eye contact with that criminal. Because a lot of times that's all it takes to drive the criminal. Or eye contact is good anytime you're having a meaningful connection with a person and you're trying to have a good conversation. But when you are there trying to use the Jedi mind trick on someone without his or her knowledge, do not make eye contact. If it looks like they're about to look at you, make sure that doesn't happen. You look away. You don't want them to be aware of whatsoever that you're thinking about them. The next thing you have to do is whenever you have an opportunity, you look at that person's third eye. So the third eye, of course, is that spot on it's basically your forehead. You just look at the person's forehead. And as you look at their forehead, you want to keep your gaze locked on their forehead as long as you can without them seeing you. And you want to start thinking to yourself, like you're on the telephone and you're talking to that person and you're saying to that person, leave. You need to go. You are not welcome. You are uncomfortable. Leave now. Or whatever it is that you would say to that person. Let's say that it's like your wish is their command. So just whatever you would say to that, like anything you can imagine that you would say to that person instantly do. That's what you project into the third eye. And you have to be very focused. Some people are better at that than others. But when you do that, when you look at their third eye and you make sure that they never know that you're focusing on them, that, for me, works most of the time. And you're welcome. I've now given you one of the most valuable Jedi mind tricks. Now, like I say, I have some that I'm going to keep to myself that I will never, ever talk about. But that is the most powerful one that I've never talked about. And you know what? Here in the United States, this year, 2024, is an election year, a presidential election year. And as I talk about Jedi mind tricks, I want you to remember that, look, political players, politicians, all these spooky guys like the KGB and the CIA, they know. Of course they know about these techniques. They know about these and a lot more. Even though, look at the MK Ultra stuff they were doing a long time ago. They use these techniques on you all the time, and they try to use them. But here's one of the reasons I wanted to talk about this on this show is that I feel like that maybe because now that you are hearing some of this, and you can start thinking about some of these techniques. Knowledge is power. You know them, and there are more of you, of us, than them. These wannabe dictators that are trying to control everything. So maybe if we're a little more transparent about how to use these mental forces, we can do that for the good of the people. So I hope you found that valuable. And if you don't think I'm telling the truth, hey, it's a free show. Go try it for yourself, and then you can email me and let me know. I had so many stories though from my trip exploring that area around San Diego, and it's kind of funny because I went down there preparing myself for some UFO research. And then I got back, and then right after I got back, I appeared on the Travel Channel on this show called Paranormal Caught on Camera. It debuted on May 19th of 2024, and it was season 7, episode 5. And you've probably seen this show, but they had me on there talking. I have a way of going back and watching Paranormal Caught on Camera. Season 7, episode 5, go check that out. But while I was there in San Diego, a lot of interesting things. I bought a pet rock. Now, you don't have to go to San Diego to buy a pet rock, but I've never bought a pet rock before. It's like the dumbest thing. Here, I got it right here in my hand. It's like a smooth, when you open it, it's in one of these cardboard containers. That looks kind of like a pet carrier, and you open it up, and it's got like a smooth river stone. It's even got some dumb stuff like some googly eyes and stuff you can stick on it. And then, of course, it comes in a handbook that's funny. It says, like, here are some tricks. Teach it to roll over. You just place it on a hill, or there's, play dead. Your pet rock will like this trick a lot. It's like a duck walk. It's fun. It's funny stuff. But I bought some more serious stuff. And when we come about some of the things that I bought, now that they are in my house, and some very weird phenomena that happened the day some of these things were delivered to my house. Oh boy, I wish the show were longer and I had more time. I'm Joshua P. Warren. You're listening to Strange Things on the iHeartRadio and Coast to